Blake Lively just ignited a legal storm, using a Me Too-era law to dismiss a defamation suit brought by Justin. On the surface, it sounds like she's defending her rights, but critics say she's using the system to dodge accountability.
Blake Lively blasted Justin Baldoni's vengeful and rambling $400 million lawsuit against her as a profound abuse of the legal system.
Is she standing up for justice or bending the rules to her advantage? Brace yourself, because what you're about to discover will change everything.
Ryan filed the dismissal docs Tuesday, calling Justin thin-skinned.
Private text messages and other documents that we've obtained reveal what really happened.
So right there, Chris, that's not an opinion. That's not a maybe. That's not a what. What really happened? Now, is that going to be problematic for them moving forward?
Some stories explode out of nowhere, catching everyone off guard with their intensity. This time, the commotion began when Justin found himself at the center of shocking allegations involving workplace misconduct. On the surface, it seemed like a standard Hollywood scandal, but beneath that glossy exterior, something felt off, especially once Blake Lively stepped in, with claims that left many scratching their heads.
It seemed like she was very nervous about medical records being revealed, and it seemed very evident that her lawyers were instructed to ensure that her celebrity relationships, third party, all that stuff was off the table, is what I felt.
And here's a story for you. Lively versus Baldoni. How right-wing influencers are weaponizing the fight to take down #MeToo.
Her accusations weren't just serious. They came wrapped in a peculiar legal twist that raised more questions than answers. People rallied around her at first. After all, who wouldn't sympathize with someone claiming to face harassment? Yet, as details trickled out, the story started to shift. Justin didn't quietly accept the blame. Instead, he pushed back, revealing messages that painted a very different picture.
She also slammed the $400 million in damages he is seeking, claiming that he and his Wayfair Studios co-plaintiffs didn't even try to explain its basis, much likely specifically alleged their so-called injuries.
Suddenly, the tide turned, and Blake found herself on the receiving end of some tough scrutiny. Why would someone with her influence rely on a specialized law originally meant for genuine victims, only to release half-truths and partial evidence? It didn't help that her legal team cited a Me Too-era clause designed to protect people from retaliation when reporting misconduct. For many, that legislation is a lifeline. For others, it's a shield against accountability. The question soon became, is Blake using this law for its intended purpose? Or is she twisting it to dodge responsibility? And most importantly, what does this mean for Justin, who insists he's being framed? But that wasn't the whole story.
The source explained, Blake is unsure about the future of her career because of the backlash she has received. She does not want to have a family with no income, and she knows that Ryan's career has so far survived the fallout.
It's tough to imagine a more heated collision of personalities. Justin, known for his razor-sharp business instincts and no-nonsense attitude, came into the spotlight years ago. He didn't seek fame in the same way many Hollywood figures do, but he inevitably found it. Success has a way of drawing attention, and with that attention comes people who either love you or despise you. Despite the swirl of public intrigue, Justin always managed to stay relatively private, until now.
Is what I felt. It felt almost like nervously so from her team of how much that clearly was the most important thing for them.
Opposite him stands Blake Lively, an actress often seen as America's sweetheart, someone who seemed untouchable in the eyes of devoted fans. She capitalized on a wholesome image, building a brand that few in the industry dared to question. So when she came forward claiming serious misconduct, many believed her immediately. After all, her track record made her look sincere. Yet, the deeper you dig, the more you see signs that her approach might be rooted in something else entirely.
They're trying to be positive and support each other. There were good days and bad days for both of them. So I don't know if this is supposed to be like, is this supposed to make people feel sorry for them?
What's most unsettling is how quickly Blake escalated the conflict. She didn't just file a standard complaint. She moved with a decisive, aggressive strategy. According to Justin's team, she selectively leaked messages and curated half-stories that put him on the defensive. With public opinion at stake, Justin fought back hard, determined to share his side. And as both of them started releasing interviews, text snippets, and behind-the-scenes accounts, fans began to wonder who was telling the truth.
I don't know how much is going to come through in the transcript that can be read now, but audibly, because we were able to call in to that hearing and listen to it, there did seem to be a lot of stress and a lot of tension, particularly when it came to those points.
And what happened next would shock everyone. The initial sparks flew when Blake declared that Justin had subjected her to repeated harassment on set. She listed moments where she felt uncomfortable, claiming Justin's remarks went too far. She described certain interactions as humiliating or suggestive, fueling an immediate media storm. Outlets scrambled to run with her story, especially once they sensed the faintest whiff of Me Too controversies.
She wants this credit, she wants this credit, she wants her edits. And they were able to do this by threatening to release information about them. right? Essentially saying, we're going to say that there were sexual harassment claims on set. And if we don't get what we want, then there's going to be big trouble for you.
But Justin countered with a surprise twist, a cache of texts, emails, and statements from witnesses who alleged Blake's narrative was wildly exaggerated. Where she saw damaging words, he saw mutual jokes. Where she saw intimidation, he said it was frustration over missed rehearsals and unprofessional conduct. It wasn't a simple he said, she said scenario anymore. It became a puzzle of incomplete evidence.
That's how I felt. It just, given what we're looking at and what's happening and the backlash and everything else, I can't imagine Blake's celebrity friends are happy that it's gotten to this point.
Viewers could read both sets of screenshots and notice glaring inconsistencies in Blake's retellings. At first, Blake's claims dominated the conversation. She had built-in star power, and her supporters insisted that anyone challenging her had to be shaming a victim. Then, Justin's documentation made headlines, forcing people to question whether Blake's account matched reality. Whispers grew louder. Was she exploiting a serious movement for personal gain?
And I really love this story because, again, it speaks to this larger cultural thing of the Me Too movement is over.
Did she manipulate a law meant to protect legitimate survivors? But that wasn't the most bizarre development. California's legal framework went through major changes after a series of high-profile incidents brought toxic workplace behavior to light. In theory, these new regulations shield individuals who speak up about wrongdoing, preventing them from being sued into oblivion by powerful figures. If you genuinely experienced ongoing harassment or intimidation, this law stands between you and potential ruin. Blake Lively latched onto that statute with an urgency that raised eyebrows. She claimed her entire defamation case should be dismissed because she spoke out against workplace mistreatment, implying no one has the right to sue her if she's just reporting misconduct. At first glance, it sounds like a noble invocation of justice. But when you factor in Justin's perspective, the story darkens.
Blake Lively spent years cultivating a Hollywood facade, but behind closed doors, she hid a much darker truth. No one expected her to be the villain until now. Justin Baldoni's lawyer...
He insists Blake's whistleblowing wasn't about protecting other people, but about discrediting him for personal advantage. Seasoned attorneys have commented that the law, while well-intentioned, isn't an all-encompassing shield. It doesn't give someone a free pass to make reckless or fabricated allegations. If a person's statements were driven by spite or had malicious intent, they can still be held responsible. And that's exactly what Justin is trying to prove. His stance is that Blake is abusing a rightful protection by warping it into a legal weapon, an argument that many onlookers find compelling. But it got stranger once more, lawyers entered the fray. Justin isn't taking the accusations sitting down. Emboldened by evidence that he believes pokes massive holes in Blake's story.
She's like, I have dragons, just like Khaleesi. I have Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift.
He fired off a sweeping counterclaim. In this document, he accuses her of orchestrating a plan to publicly humiliate him. He cites dates, times, text messages, and witness statements that undermine her version of events. This isn't a petty back and forth. It's a well-coordinated campaign to prove that Blake's claims are not just unfounded, but intentionally deceitful. Naturally, Blake fought back.
Blake Lively sued Jamie Heath, Justin Baldoni, etc. after they collectively launched a retaliatory social manipulation campaign to destroy and bury her because she privately spoke up about sexual harassment and inappropriate conduct.
She insisted that her livelihood suffered the moment she called him out. She claims that she was blacklisted from certain events and that her mental well-being took a major hit. However, critics point out that she's still popping up at industry functions and working on fresh projects. Her public appearances haven't disappeared. If anything, her platform has grown louder amid the controversy.
I think there were moments where the judge was calling both of them out. He was attempting to keep things being neutral, but there were definitely moments where Brian's arguments felt stronger than the other side.
Justin maintains that everything he's done is in response to a deliberate smear campaign. He believes the partial evidence Blake supplied misled the public, and he's determined to expose every layer of it in court. Both sides are hurtling toward a collision that many predict will redefine how people view Me Too protections and entertainment. Yet, even that clash may pale compared to the mounting confusion around their personal relationship, which was more complex than most realized. And what happened in the aftermath revealed something even more shocking. The turning point arrived when new documents surfaced, complete text chains that showed entire conversations. Blake's previously released clips looked different under this glaring light. Observers noticed that some lines were removed or presented out of sequence. It made some wonder if she had manipulated evidence to strengthen her complaint.
We don't think we should have to present some of our text messages in discovery with our high-profile clients, that being Taylor Swift and whoever else. Some people say Bradley Cooper and whatever other friends of Blake Lively might get sucked into this.
That suspicion fueled online outrage, especially among those who had quickly rallied to her defense. Fans began asking tough questions. Why would she provide incomplete information if her case was strong on its own? Why did certain messages seem friendly, even playful, only to be spun as if they were harmful? And how could she insist her career was in tatters when there were press photos of her smiling at major Hollywood gatherings? Justin seized that momentum. He reiterated that the lawsuit was an act of desperation by someone who realized their initial claims were crumbling. Though he hadn't always been a public figure, he understood that controlling the narrative was crucial. By sharing concrete evidence and pointing out potential inconsistencies, he set the stage for a legal showdown that will likely become a reference for future disputes over workplace allegations. But the most surprising fallout had yet to emerge. Both Justin and Blake now carry the weight of public scrutiny. For Justin, the blow to his reputation could have been catastrophic. Being labeled as someone who fosters a hostile work environment can end careers overnight. However, the conversation shifted once he revealed an entire archive of messages showing context that clashed with her account.
Justin Baldoni's side argued that they think that she shouldn't receive any preferential treatment because she's famous, and we need to see all this information. We'll redact it, we'll keep it from the public, and they say, no, you'll leak it.
Now, he appears more resolute than ever, attending business meetings and forging new partnerships despite the ongoing drama. Blake's claim that she's financially ruined seems hard to square with her continued presence on red carpets and involvement in new projects. Critics argue that she might be overplaying the victim narrative to gain sympathy and derail Justin's defamation suit. Legal experts warn that if she can't show real, measurable harm, her motion to dismiss could fail miserably, leaving her exposed to the consequences of a potential malicious claim.
New articles come out sort of weaponizing the political ideologies that might be trying to dismantle beliefs involved in this case.
Behind the scenes, friends and industry insiders are tiptoeing around the issue. Some don't want to get pulled into messy court battles, while others quietly pick sides. Whispers swirl that if Blake loses public favor, it could impact her relationships with influential players in Hollywood. Meanwhile, Justin is more determined than ever to reveal what he sees as her real agenda. But the final reveal may turn everything upside down. This isn't just a Hollywood gossip item, it's a clash of principles. On one hand, we have a movement that encourages individuals to speak up against genuine abuse. On the other, we have a system vulnerable to exploitation by those who spin partial truths for personal gain. If Blake is indeed manipulating well-meaning protections, her actions could set a dangerous precedent, making it harder for actual victims to find justice. Justin's defamation claim stands as a testament to his belief that he's been unfairly targeted. He's shown no signs of backing down, promising to present every shred of proof to dismantle Blake's accusations. Whether he wins or loses, his determination to challenge someone as influential as Blake will be remembered. It sends a message. Not all allegations are created equal. Ultimately, this dispute leaves the world with an uneasy question. How do we safeguard real survivors while ensuring false claims don't derail innocent lives? And will Blake's approach irreparably harm her credibility if it's proven she stretched the truth beyond recognition? The answers remain hidden in courtrooms and sealed documents waiting to be exposed. One thing is certain, this showdown is far from over, and its final outcome could echo across the industry for years to come. All we can do now is watch and wonder which version of reality the evidence will finally support. And if you thought this was the end, buckle up. The next chapter might change everything we thought we knew.